Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds View podcast, the main pod for this week. We'll have a second one out after the Newcastle game to look ahead to the FA Cup game. But tonight we're focused on the Manchester United result as well as looking ahead to Newcastle on Wednesday night. I'm delighted to be joined by All Leeds TV's Oscar Marriot as well as Gerry McNamee. Paul is on new job duty down in London town tonight, so he won't be with us, but we'll be back for the second pod during the week. If you're listening on the audio platforms, if you could give us a channel rating, that would be fantastic. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, if you could give us a like and a hype, that would be massively appreciated as well. Outside of that, we'll start off today and we'll crack on and get stuck into it, and we'll talk to the lads and see how they're getting on. Gerry, how are you? How's the snow?
There's a bit of snow around here at the moment. The road's not gritted, of course. I did my my angry local resident and spoke to the council and said, "Why the hell haven't you gritted the roads?" But yeah, no interest. Yeah, a bit of snow. It's all right. I've got a white dog. I haven't seen it all day. It's just in the snow. It's been a day of chaos, though. Never mind on the roads. I've got Sky Sports here, and there's managers falling everywhere. I mean, poor Amarin gone, but and of course, thankfully, Wilfred Nancy's gone. That I stood up and cheered when I heard that. That was good. And
took your time, lads. Took your time.
There could be more to come. It could be Nuno or even Dyche, managers that we were desperate to get hold of who aren't doing so well. So yeah, it's been a great month for Leeds. It's been a good weekend, since New Year's Day. We're depleted. We've no Welshmen in the team for the first time ever, and or for the first time under Farke, and we're just keeping it ticking over, and we're getting draws, and every game we're competitive, and every game we think we could have got that, we could have nicked something in that. So, and a great result. Yes, the atmosphere not so great with 12:30 kickoff. Yeah. Paul was with me. He bit his lip very deeply when we scored. He bit his lip, not me, and I almost lost my glasses. It was a rush. It was a great moment. So, just one thing, sort out the PA system. I don't know if were you there, Oscar, yesterday. Click was on the pitch at halftime, and it was like he was talking through a pillow. It was couldn't hear a thing.
Yeah, it was a shame. It was a shame. Yeah, a wasted opportunity.
Because the PA does work, but it was shocking. It was pretty bad. But cold day. I'm sorry. One more gripe, because like a gripe. We had to wait 20 minutes till the Man U fans got out. Every time I've been to Old Trafford, it's the other way around. So probably the police, but sort it out. Let them wait. Let them wait in the cold. I know they have to get back to London, but yeah. I was a bit annoyed at that. That was the only thing that annoyed me. I'm of an age, but it's going okay. That's the good thing.
One of these days, a fan group is going to come on here and have a go at you for slagging off fan bases. I swear to God.
Oh well.
Yeah, there was. I saw somebody put a picture up of Essex Whites, and they were like Tin Pot Club. No, haven't even got their own fans. And the guy that actually tweeted it, his account was based in Central Europe somewhere. So you're like, dude, seriously, have a look at
the irony.
Before you make comments.
The irony, it's a guy with an Irish accent slagging off fans that don't live in the city. So,
I know, right? I know, right?
Yeah, but but we're not going to analyze it, are we?
No, we're not. We're going to ignore it and move on from it pretty quickly. Yeah, Oscar, how are you being, mate? How are things? Thanks for coming back on and joining us today. Were you at the game, and what did you think?
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I mean, what a fantastic, Christmas period it was for us. It does not feel like two things that don't feel very Leedsy. Good Christmas for the club and not being involved in this absolute chaos of a Monday in terms of managerial merry-go-round. What a change it makes, not having Leeds involved in this, because we all know, the whole fan base has always been behind Farke at every single moment he's been a manager of Leeds United. He's always, none of us have ever said anything about Daniel Farke at all. No question marks at all, no pressure. It's all being totally smooth sailing. But we are on a roll at this moment in time. There's no question about it. At the minimum, I expect now we go in and compete every week. I think it's amazing to say that as a newly promoted team that I don't feel like we're ever going to get. We obviously will get outplayed at some point. It is the Premier League, but it feels like on this current run we're on, it just feels like we're going to compete for 90 minutes. We might not always get the results because let's not forget we've only actually won 2 of the last sort of 7, which normally is say is not a particularly great run, but it's just the fact how good we've been in each game. I think really certainly look at the Sunderland game. I think potentially a missed opportunity there. I think we really did have 3 points on the table, albeit we were a bit unlucky in that game. I think Robin Roofs, you have to give credit to, made some fantastic saves in that game.
Really did, yeah.
Brentford as well. In fact, that was around the time I last came on for between the Brentford and Palace games. That was another one where you look at potentially 4 extra points and you think, had we got that 4 extra points, I think we'd be out of this relegation talk pretty much, certainly for the time being. I think we've kind of moved slowly, we're kind of moving away from it at this moment in time. Of course, a lot can change this midweek. If West Ham win, we lose at Newcastle, we know it's going to look interesting again. We know all these things. It's the Premier League. Things change very, very quickly. It's been a weird season so far, but all in all, you can't complain with our start at all. I think yesterday feels like every time we play Man United, we have a great moment and then straight away there's a sucker punch. Aylim 2021. I'm thinking back to Dan James making it 2. Was it Dan James who made it 2-2 in that game in 2022? When we were 2-0 down, made it 2-2 straight away, and then hit it back into 3-2. It feels like every time we play them, it's just we just seem to always get a sucker punch. But yeah, I think it's another solid performance. Again, maybe getting a little bit stretched now in terms of injuries, in terms of maybe. You look at the bench, there's not a lot of options to change the game. And I think you see with Farke that he is reluctant. I think he has always been quite reluctant to make substitutions, but I think at this moment in time, he's especially reluctant because we lose a bit of momentum. But yeah, been really happy with our start to the new year. I mean, if you'd have told me at the start of the season we'd have Rodon, Ampadu, let's think who else.
Bogle, Longstaff, James.
Those 3 players, Dan James, effectively our whole right-hand side, if you count Ampadu's maybe a bit more on the right-hand side. Either way, I'd have thought impossible Leeds would even perform in a game, never mind get results, and we have got results against some of the better teams in the league. Yes, I know Liverpool and Man United aren't in a great spell at this moment in time, but listen, that's still 2 really, really solid points that will count a long way this season. So all in all, really, really happy. I need to mention Jacobiol, how good he's been. Since we've gone to a back 3, I genuinely think he's been our best player since we've gone back to a back 3. I think Ampadu and Calvert-Lewin have been outstanding as well. But I think Biol was just, I think the last 2 games are genuinely as good as I've seen from a centre-back for us at this level since probably, can I say it? Lucas Radebe? I'm going to go that far to say that I think it's been a long time since we've seen a centre-back put together the kind of form that Jacobiol has. Listen, I'm not saying he's necessarily going to be as good as that. I think it's very unrealistic in that case, but his last couple of games have just been unbelievable, like genuinely unbelievable how good he's been. I think Rodon and Strauch have had fantastic seasons as well, but I think Biol, in terms of what he's doing at this moment in time in the middle of that back 3, he looks like a player that if he was a little bit younger, I'd be a little bit worried about losing Biol in the summer, to be honest, at this moment in time. But I think we're okay on that score at this moment in time. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we'll get to some of the comments from Daniel Farke's press conference today as well about the Newcastle game, because Jayden Bogle's future was brought up and dealt with pretty quickly. But Biol, he's been absolutely phenomenal. When you think of who he's gone up against this year, he's kept Erling Haaland. He's kept him ridiculously quiet. Thiago at Brentford was kept quiet. Benjamin Sesko looked like Benjamin Tesco. Then you go through
I like that. Right, not
Crystal Palace, Mateta as well.
Down.
Mateta as well kept completely quiet as well. So you look at what he's done since he's gone in and looked after those players, and just that little ability to bully people as well. And I love physical football, so I love seeing him just chesting someone off the ball and standing over them a little bit, just a little intimidation.
It is like watching Gerry Lynch in the Creator Cup final when I watched BR. I think that was Gerry for 90 minutes.
If you're a centre back and you haven't kicked somebody or you haven't come off with someone else's blood on your shirt, have you really tried? That's my take on it. But he's been brilliant. The redemption of Brendan Aronson continues as well, which should be talked about as well. He's been absolutely fantastic. Yes, we never had a bad word to say about Daniel Farke. We should also say all the people that will say that we did have something bad to say about Daniel Farke were the same people that said that this squad wasn't good enough to stay in the Premier League, and the squad is now performing as well. So to a man, they have done a fantastic job, and it is the best complaint in the world to be able to say you were wrong about something that ends up becoming a positive. So happy to be wrong in that situation. It has been a chaos of a Monday. Their managers have been dropping like flies, and there could be another casualty tonight as well. This will likely go out when Nottingham Forest and West Ham United are playing each other. And if the rumours are to be believed, if West Ham lose, Nuno is gone. And if Forest lose, Dyche could be gone. So you're in a situation there where I personally would like both of them to draw with each other tonight. Just take a draw and then see what we can do against Newcastle. But it's been a weekend of opportunities for Leeds. I know we didn't get the win, and maybe felt like we could have gone and got the win against Manchester United, but we still added a point at a weekend where our rivals didn't add any points, and that's important to just keep open that gap, as has been said. Gerry, from an all-round team performance, it was an unusual kind of game. It felt like both sides kind of cancelled each other out, which again, when you're missing the players that Leeds were missing, Manchester United fans will say they put a B team out. But still £500 million worth of talent on that pitch and 50 million on the bench. And Leeds are missing, as Oscar said, their entire right-hand side of the team, and probably had 6 championship players on the starting 11. So when you take all that into consideration, again, we don't do well at half-12 kickoffs either, normally. We've still managed to come away with a point against a side that are sitting 6th in the Premier League. And then you go back over the last couple of games and we beat Chelsea, who are 5th, drew Liverpool twice, who are 4th, just narrowly lost to Aston Villa and Man City, who are 2nd and 3rd. It's a really positive month. It will come to an end inevitably at some point. But with all of that taken into consideration, how important was that result yesterday? And again, also just the fact that we came off the pitch and looked like we belonged.
Yeah. Well, I think the last 2 games haven't been good for the neutral, have they, against Liverpool and Man? But I don't care. I think if you're looking at it, I mean, I'm a defender. That's not very good. But as you said, that little knock that you give someone, knock him off, that gives you such pleasure. And Bijal, I'd look to him, and you might notice him, but he's ball coming over the top, down in front of the hardest ball, and he dealt with those. But yeah, I'm not bothered. I think as a unit and a defensive unit at Liverpool, and yesterday, as you say, we belong, we compete, and I think that's been the thing all season. We've competed, and if we have criticised, and which we have, I think we were rightly, because I remember the Burnley game, the Brighton and the Forest game, we were dreadful, and I think we criticised rightly so and called out things and accept that they've been sort of resolved. But the whole right throughout the whole team, I thought Barnow coming in cold, we didn't even know he existed. We thought he was a figment of our imagination. He's a big, as I said to someone, did he fight Rocky in Rocky IV? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he was and he's not put a foot wrong. James Justin coming in. And I think Fark said they wouldn't necessarily have played if everybody had been fit, but Justin came in man of the match performance on Thursday, and didn't put a foot wrong. Pascal, unsung hero. I mean Pascal, we know he's got foibles in there, and sometimes somebody runs on. He's winning everything. He's competing the whole lot. The midfield, Brendan, he was bullying people yesterday. Hard man Brendan, we were calling. He knocked someone off the ball, and he still runs into a few dead ends. But his overall plan to get to that ball for the goal was excellent. And right throughout the team, I think the keeper made a brilliant save. When you're a keeper, you only have to make one mistake, and he was slow for that, or bad decision making, and it cost us. As you said, give him the angle, and it was there. But as a team performance, we find Calvert-Lewin does it. Sometimes I thought Okafor could have been closer to him. Okafor, he's frustrating in a way. When he's good, he can be brilliant. And when he runs at something, you think, wow, where's he been the whole game? And then he disappears for a while. So I thought he maybe was a bit far apart from him at times. But he still can kill that ball, win it in midair on his chest. I love it when he does that. And the header, split 1 inch either way, and that was out. We all thought that was in. We all jumped to a man, thought that was in. And the substitutions were actually attacking, when they come on. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention Gruev as well. Another player who's come in who we thought would be surplus. Again, done a great job. No frills and thrills, but was brilliant. Pirro, I want him so bad. I don't want him to go. And in his little cameo again, he nearly went into the corner. Tanaka made a difference. He was winning balls and everything else. So it's like that team that was a bit disjointed. It's just clicked into place like a jigsaw, and all of a sudden everybody seems to know. You could see in Ampadu in the Liverpool game, he's going to people, telling them what to do. There's obviously a plan, and we can change it. We went 4-4-2, we go 4-1-2, 4-1-4-1, whatever, and we've got that flexibility in us now, and that seems to fit the players. We're down to not the bare bones as a squad, but a couple more injuries or suspension could affect. So it's good to hear everybody's nearly coming back. I think we missed Ampadu yesterday. We did, in a sense, the way he breaks stuff up and everything else. But we could have won that. It was disappointing that we let it slip so soon. I mean, Brendan, I think Man United missed a chance. Heaven should be number 17, really, shouldn't he? They've missed a chance there. Oscar, Heaven 17 were a group from the 80s. You wouldn't remember them. But a Heaven 26 doesn't quite work. That's the way my mind works during a game. But the thing is, Man United, I had to look at the team sheet a few times. Who's he? Because you used to know them. But but as you say, Euro, 60 million. And I've seen Paul and himself, the Man U fans complain, oh, it's only our B team and we did well. You know, there's nearly £1 billion worth of players on there. So entitled and everything else is the word. And we're coming away from games of that being a bit disappointed. Not glad, And the whole point is, I thought if we get 2 points from these two games and are still 7 points clear of West Ham on Wednesday night, then it's all about that gap. Dare to dream, get a win at Newcastle and West Ham don't win. All of a sudden you're starting to think, this is chance. But being Leeds, we know it won't be that easy. But as long as we're still 6-7 points clear tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow night they're playing. Actually, I think 6-7 points clear. Tonight. Yeah. Leicester are playing in non-league tonight. Leicester are playing West Brom in non-league championship. Or wherever. Some there's another championship somewhere. I don't know. Don't remember where that. So I'll come back to haunt me that. So that's what's all. It's all about maintaining that gap. It'd be nice to catch Bournemouth and go, but Forest fans aren't happy. You know, as I said, these were the managers we wanted, and everybody wanted us to get. Nuno. I mean, that performance by West Ham on Saturday was abject. I know Wolves have hit a little bit of a patch, but they were dreadful, better, and you just hope that they're going down the plug hole. And that's all I'm hoping for at the moment and probably a Forest win tomorrow night would be our best bet, and us get something at Newcastle. But even a draw. But as long as West Ham don't win, so overall, it's positive. It's nice going into Elland Road and feeling that positivity and looking at the team and thinking, and Daniel he's the man. Fair play to him. He's turned around and he listened to us because he wasn't listening, was he? Wasn't listening.
Yeah,
and don't sell Pero. Keep him.
No, he notoriously spends most of his time on social media, as I've been politely informed by the comment section a couple of times as well. So he definitely watches. And he definitely took notes. I like the fact that he's shown flexibility. I like the fact that he's shown a bit of self-awareness and he's fixed.
I'm delighted for him.
I think as Dara Anthony and McAnthony said on Sky Sports, Farke possibly realised this is my last crack at the Premier League job if I don't get this one right. So we made the changes. Forced or not, he made them. But he's shown since then that he's again been flexible. Like the systems yesterday, we finished off with a 3-4-1-2 with Pero in behind two strikers. So again, he is doing things. But Oscar, one of the big things that stood out for me that I was very happy to come away from the game with is, yes, we're disappointed, which says an awful lot that we're disappointed to come away with just a draw in these games, specifically Liverpool and Manchester United in the last two games. But also, that was an attacking-minded side that Daniel Farke put out on the pitch. It was a 3-4-3 system. He was going for it. And then when the changes were made, you could have very easily understood if he decided to bring on more defensive-minded players or change the system to be more defensive. And he doesn't. He goes for it. And Leeds went for it in the end of the game. And there was that little spell before, just after the changes started to be made, where we kind of went out of the game a little bit, but we absolutely finished on the front foot and the better side of the two teams. So that has to be hugely positive as well. And it's a huge departure for Farke as well, because even the championship, when we were winning games, we saw Daniel Farke all of a sudden change to a more defensive-minded approach. So Daniel Lazarus continues to surprise people, and we have to be positive with those kind of parts of a game that he is doing, the fact that he is trying to be aggressive and go for these results.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I thought a month ago I'd be talking about Daniel Farke going two up front, going to long throws, going to changing systems, going to a back three, I thought this was something that was just not going to happen under Daniel Farke. Nothing against Daniel Farke. I just didn't think he was the type of coach to deviate too differently away from back four, from having like a front three, most of the time.
The evidence suggested that he wouldn't, because he hadn't.
Yeah, I mean, several times he's kind of hinted that the back four was the way he felt it was to go with Leeds, and maybe that might be the medium term, the longer term sort of ambition under Daniel Farke. And it's great that we can talk about Daniel Farke in these terms as not just between now and the end of the season, maybe going beyond that in terms of another transfer window beyond that and seeing what we can build from there, really. But yeah, the substitutions were on the front foot. I think the only criticism would be the Metcha change, not because Metcha came on, just because I think Metcha needs to be central. I want Metcha off Dominic Calvert-Lewin or playing instead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin or up front with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, whatever it is, whether it's 2 up front, Metro in the 10 or Metro up front on his own, whatever it is, I think that's got to be a better solution than Metro on the left wing. I think against Sunderland as well, he went onto that side, didn't really work either. That's maybe a slight criticism. I can see why we're doing that. I think obviously Metro off the ball works hard enough. I think he obviously, the intensity was still there when Metro came on for Okafor. There's no question about that. Okafor's work rate, I think, has improved quite a bit in recent weeks. The only question is he can't put 90 minutes together yet. That is a bit of a frustration. We're into January. He's still not putting together 90-minute performances, but hopefully that will come. The talent level is definitely there with Okafor. And the fact that, Gruev can come in for Ampadu and it doesn't feel like a massive drop-off. Don't get me wrong, it is still a drop-off because of how good Ampadu is. But Gruev came in, did pretty much the same role as Ampadu, and did it to good standards. Obviously, Bornau came in, obviously for Rodon, and it was seamless. I'm not going to say these players are as good as the ones that came in for, because they'd be starting in that case. But it's encouraging that they've done such a solid performance. And I don't think it can just be down to those individually. I think it's down to the system as a whole. It's maximising the players that he's got, and not just a starting 11, being able to rotate players in. And that's why I kind of look at it with interest in the FA Cup on Sunday, how we perform in that. Traditionally, we've been terrible in the FA Cup last couple of years. But it'll be interesting to see, in terms of now we've got more of a system rather than individuals, which maybe you could accuse Daniel Farke in the last 2 years in the Championship of maybe being a little bit more individual based, because that's ultimately what wins your games at the Championship level. Your Somervilles, your Manuel Solomons, etc., they win your games at that level. Joe Peru in front of goal wins your games at that level. But now we seem to be just a lot more system based. I think the fact that Goodmanson stepped in, and I think his long throws, to be fair, were a lot loopier than Ampadu's. To be critical, I think Ampadu just threw it flat, a lot more difficult to defend against. But to be fair, Goodmanson, we created a decent few chances from the long throws. Nothing too major, but some decent half chances that maybe could have led to something a bit more dramatic. But yeah, all in all, this is a team that's on the up. There's no question about it. It doesn't feel like we're riding the high at this moment in time. It just feels like we're genuinely a good team now. We're genuinely a solid Premier League side. And I think I bored a lot of people on All These TV when I said about Brentford this, Brentford that. But it does feel like Brentford's that came into the Premier League in terms of very different to what it was in the Championship, but adapted well, made the right adaptations. And the fact that we could quite easily, a couple of slightly different things played out in the last couple of games, we could actually be almost pretty much safe now, with a couple of things gone in our favour. That is the encouragement that we've got to take, into these next tough run of games. We're still in the middle of this tough run. Let's not forget that. But yeah, in terms of the changes, I think if any team was going to win it yesterday, it was us. I felt at 1-1. I think obviously they did have a spell, sort of 5 minutes after they scored, where the players that came on were still trying to find the feet. Tanaka, I thought, actually made quite a bad start when he came on. I think straight away he lost his man for a decent Man United chance and then gave the ball away. But once he settled in, Gerry's already touched on it, we were then on the front foot, and only one team was going to win at that point. Tanaka took control of the midfield, and we saw a different side to Leeds again. And that's the encouraging thing, is that we're trying to win these games now. We're not just settling for draws, because ultimately it is wins that will keep us up. Draws are great. And listen, I love this unbeaten runs carry on, but a couple more wins would be nice as well. But I think that is good. That is around the corner. I do genuinely believe that. I think this Leeds team is good enough to put together another 5 or 6 wins, which if we do get another 5 or 6 wins, it's pretty irrelevant what happens with West Ham and Forest. And, if we can get that gap to 10 points or keep it at 8, I'd be very, very happy. Very, very happy. But yeah, I think the one thing that is discouraging is that the actual league outside of Arsenal, City and Villa is so tight from 4th to about 17th. It's so tight in terms of, it doesn't, when you look at the league table and we're still 16th, it feels like, we're not actually moving that far forward. But
we're 8 points off of 7th.
Yeah, slowly, that's what I mean. Is slowly you kind of look at it and think, you know what, there is more to come. Hopefully, if we can carry on the way we are, and we of course are in our January window. I think there's still areas we can definitely improve, and it'll be exciting to see what we do in January. So yeah, let's wait and see. And I think another thing as well that needs to be mentioned is the goals against is looking a lot better than what it was. Just so you put the league table up there, Gerry, it's looking a lot better than what it was sort of this time 5 or 6 weeks ago. It's not perfect. Still 33 goals in 20 is kind of at best sort of par for the course, but as we can get that up to less than 60 goals conceded over the season, that'll still be a pretty decent defensive record on top of a much improved attack as well. And the goal difference as well, we need to remember, -7 compared to -20. On paper, we're 8 points clear. In reality, we're 9 points clear. I don't think it's a hot take to say that. That is a big gap on the goal difference. Even to Forest at this moment in time, that's a big gap that we've built. So that's great as well. The competitive side of us, we've kept ourselves in games, apart from Arsenal, apart from Brighton. And we're kind of seeing the rewards of that in terms of when you look at the league table.
Yeah, and if you look at last season's league table, I know this isn't last season, it's different teams, and I get all that, but just to give yourself a benchmark coming into this division, last season, Southampton finished the entire season with 12 points. We've obviously bettered that now by 10. Ipswich's total points for the entirety of last season was 22 points. We're now level on that. And Leicester finished the season on 25. So one more win and we've hit that number as well. And we're only talking about having at the halfway stage. So already Leeds have booked a trend in terms of what came against them last season. You're right. I mean, Leicester conceded 80 goals last season, Ipswich 82, and Southampton conceded 86. I mean, even Spurs conceded 65 last season. So yeah, keeping that goal tally down, but we're scoring goals as well. I mean, we had that issue at the start of the season where we couldn't find the back of the net at all, but that seems to be gone now, and we're happily moving along. You mentioned the run of games, Oscar, as well. And if you look at the next 6 for Leeds after the Newcastle game, so these fixtures on the screen are all after the current round. So obviously Forest and West Ham play each other, and then that's their fixtures after that. And Leeds play Newcastle on Wednesday, and that's the fixtures after that. Home to Fulham, that's got to be one you're looking at trying to win that game. Away to Everton, home to Arsenal, home to Forest, which could be a massive game at that point because that's a 6-point swing. Away to Chelsea, away to Aston Villa, they won't be straightforward or easy at all. But even in that, we're on 7 draws right now. You probably need 9-10 draws for the season. We've got 5 wins. You probably need 9 wins as well. And if you're looking at that, 5, if you can get a win against Fulham, there's your 6. If you can get a win against Forest, there's 7. You're nearly there, and you still have Burnley at home. Funnily enough, going away to West Ham is actually probably the best place to do it, play against them rather than have them in your place. So there's some very positive ones coming up, and their runs aren't easy either. Forest will be away to Arsenal, home to Palace, then they've got us, home to Wolves, which again, if Wolves' little mini form resurgence kicks in again, that could be an interesting one to watch as well. Then they've got Liverpool and Brighton. So that's not an easy run result fixtures for them either. West Ham will have Spurs away, which is a derby. Then they're home to Sunderland. Sunderland will have the bulk of their players back by that stage that they had in the first half of the season. Away to Chelsea under a new manager. The Burnley-West Ham game will be interesting as well. And then home to Manchester United and home to Bournemouth. So again, not straightforward for any of those clubs. But as long as you've said, Oscar, we keep just chipping away and getting the points where we can and just keep adding to our total and heading towards that 40-point mark, we're in good stead. The disgusting Johnny Cooper statistic, Gerry, that came out over the weekend that will upset everybody is no team has ever been relegated in a 38-game Premier League season when they've been 8 points clear of the relegation zone after 20 matches. And you just feel like Leeds would be a bit, hold my beer. But hopefully they won't be. But Gerry, the important thing also here is, you talked about a minute ago, that squad's getting a bit threadbare. Daniel Farke needs support now coming into this month. And he said possibly around Fulham we'll see something happen. So that's really important that Leeds don't sit on their hands now for this month.
Yeah, we don't want another January transfer window or any transfer window where there's a plane sitting on the tarmac with nobody on it except the pilot, and they've got to be savvy. I don't think we're going to get Harry Wilson now because he's just a performer of his life, incredible. Well, good scouting if nothing else. I think if you look, well, just looking at the league table, if you look at the position we were in going into the Man City game, and we were a point or two around West Ham and Forest and Burnley, and we've pulled right out of there. I think 4 wins, 6 draws, 8 defeats. That keeps us up. That gets us to 40 points if my maths is right, and that's what we got to look at. But yeah, transfer window. There's nothing. I'm not going to tell you anything that's groundbreaking. We need a centre half because we're playing 3 centre halves now. We still need that backup. We need a creative midfielder, which we've needed since Don Revie days, I think, or feels like it. We probably need another wide player and a striker. We just need backup. We need that squad to be strong enough to take us through, because there will, as you see, all of a sudden you can lose players very quickly. When, let's say, Longstaff, Ampadu, Rodon, as you said, the heartbeat of the team, really, then you can't afford that to happen and have to dip into the youth team or whatever's there. So I think they realised that. I think Daniel Farke said, ask him after the Newcastle game. So
yeah,
we would hope something will happen. I expect when we play Derby next week, it'll be some Sam Byron get a run, Carl Darlow and team players
Harry
like that,
Gray.
maybe Sam Chambers, all these players. Yeah, Harry, will Harry Gray get a run? That'd be good. Yeah, and Perro, all these players. But you see the Premier League, and I think we need to be savvy, not go out and I think West Ham are dropping 30 million on some bloke I've never heard of, he doesn't score goals.
Castellanos, yeah.
Can't be desperate. Can't be desperate about who you buy. You got to be savvy, and hopefully they know that. And there's got to be headroom. There's going to be movement out. There's that talk about Ramzani coming back for Jack Harrison. Well, he's not tore up any trees either. Somebody said it'll probably, if the way he tracks back, it'll probably take him to June to get to Leeds, Ramzani. So I don't know. Was you that said that? I thought it was really good. Somebody said that to me anyway. I thought it was quite good. Jack needs to go. Jack is, his time's up. He's not going to be a main part of this team. But what can we offload him with his wages? We give him the contract. It's not his fault.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, that's what we got to do, and I think the fans want that. We're in a good mood, but we realise we need just a little bit of tweaking here and there. Nothing major, but we need a bit of tweaking, and just a couple of players that'll see coming on, get you over the line. You see the potential of someone like James Justin, £10 million Premier League player, but savvy signing, who's been brilliant. Someone just slot in straight away, got the experience. Hard to find some of those, but we need to just top up our team. Excuse me, that way. Nelly will probably sit it out, as I say.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, he was sitting in front of us yesterday, and he seems happy enough. So we'll fair play to him. He'll get a job somewhere else. Nice business, isn't it, if you can get it?
It is, yeah.
So that's what we got to do. And come Wednesday night, 7-8 points clear of bottom three. We'll be very happy. And then we got games in there. It got into all of those games. They're just to Arsenal. Arsenal probably look like they're going to win the league. They're the form team, the best team probably, which pains me to say. But we go into games and that and think we can get something out of this. Villa away, why not? If we looked at Liverpool twice, Man City, I know we lost it, but Palace, Man United, all these games, a resurgent Sunderland team, and we're unbeaten. So there's fair nobody, and we can just keep picking up the points, keep taking it over, keep keeping in front of that 1 point per game, and let West Ham implode and worry about things. Let's hope they don't sack anybody tomorrow night. We need to keep that bad feeling going. Wilfred Nancy, he'd do a job for you. West Ham.
He'd do a great job for them. They should grab him. Yep, grab the ball hands right now. Yep.
I'll show you how to play football without a defence. It's
with no defence at all.
Groundbreaking. It's magnificent to watch.
Ange Postecoglou without the attacking flair, so pretty much nothing. Yeah, no
He's
defense.
coming home. Ange is coming home. Anyway,
he might be.
Yeah,
but yeah, as you say, look at the games we've got at home. We'll have Burnley at home. We'll have Wolves at home. We'll have Nottingham Forest at home. So there's three. That you've got. They're all down there with you. So you've got to look at those as being. If you can get 3 wins there's your 9 points, and then if you can pick it up the result against a few, you never know. Yeah. And again, the losses will come, and they'll likely come in a row. But we'll have to just deal with that and just keep taking on. It'll take along. We're in an incredibly positive position that I don't think we thought we'd be in. We all wanted 16th, 17th, but it's very hard to get that. So the fact that we're even here and we're talking about a gap already is positive. And anyone who watched me last season will know that I talk about the gaps between different areas constantly. It's all I look at is the gap. That's all I'm worried about. We've got to focus on the next game as well, Oscar. We've got a very important game away to Newcastle. We obviously got a very impressive draw against them at the second game of the season. We've got a couple of bodies possibly coming back. There's no fresh injury concerns for the game. So Borneo, Justin and Grill were all okay. Farkas said some of the players were dealing with extra load on the pitch today, the likes of Sean Longstaff, who's back in amongst it. Other players were doing rests, the players that needed a bit of a break. Lucas Mecha seems okay. Sean Longstaff be part of the squad, but unlikely to start the game. Might not even play a huge amount of minutes. Ethan Ampadu back after his suspension, and Jaden Bogle and Joe Roden have been doing individual work, but Daniel Farke is slightly hopeful that if they can get into team training this week, they could be involved in the squad coming into the weekend. And Dan James is only 2 weeks away from rejoining team training as well. So it's important that Leeds get those bodies back. Poor Sebastian Bornau looked dead on his feet again because he hasn't had the minutes in his legs over the course of the season, but he's done really well. But really important that Leeds get those players back and have no fresh injury concerns going into that, because it's a quick turnaround again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a few really interesting battles. I think obviously not the best of times to play Newcastle when you got a stretched squad, because we know Newcastle are a very physical team. Probably one of the most, I'd say probably the most physical of the bigger teams in the league, in terms of if you're going about sort of the big six or just outside that big six, I'd say, Newcastle are certainly well up there. I think them and Arsenal, when you look at them in terms of the heights they've got in these teams, I think obviously you look at it across the spines of both teams, there's some really good battles. Individually, going to be some really good battles in this game. I'm looking at Ampadu, Gimenez. I think that's going to be a really, really, really good battle. Joe Linton as well, potentially getting involved in that, and Tonali. That will be an interesting midfield. It's going to be a big one, that one. DCL and Malik Chow, I think it's going to be a big battle as well. I think obviously both sort of like that kind of battle, in terms of Chow, likes it aerially. DCL likes it aerially, so that'll be quite an interesting sort of dynamic in that one. You can maybe see DCL trying to play off Fabian Schär potentially as well. And then whoever plays up front for Newcastle, will it be Visser? Will it be Voltamade? Who knows? I'd probably prefer Visser, I think, for this game. I think Voltamade, in terms of what you can do in between the lines, sort of opening up space for like your Anthony Gordons and your Langers, etc., or Jacob or Murphy's. That maybe worries me a little bit more. I think Visser, I think we'd have a little bit more control of, albeit maybe he's got a little bit more pacing behind than Walter Mardy has. But either way, that's going to be an interesting battle there in terms of if we go for back three, or I think we probably will go for back three. I think that is now our staple, in these kind of games. I think there's a lot of potential both ways for it to sort of go either way. I think Newcastle are going to be the favourites. We can't sort of hide away from that in terms of the quality they have got in this team. The fact Newcastle are on a pretty decent run and are at home as well. Their home form throughout the season has been excellent. We can't deny that at all. But yeah, there's certainly ways we can hurt Newcastle, albeit I do worry a little bit about someone like a Lucas Perry in that kind of atmosphere, in terms of, I think he's got to show a lot more maturity, in terms of maybe what he did at Anfield sometimes in terms of his distribution, putting us under silly pressure at times. And we said sort of off air about Perry's kicking being much less of a concern than his shot stopping, because his shot stopping, I think, has actually been good. I think it's the other side of things which have been more of an issue in terms of mentally, in terms of maybe not reading situations quickly enough, or making rash decisions, with his feet, or sometimes with his throwouts. I think he's got to maybe calm it down from time to time at Newcastle. We know what that crowd can get like. If we score first, though, that's what I think is going to be key. If we do score first in that game, it really could open for us. Really, really could, because Newcastle, it's one thing, the away form not being so good. If the home form then suddenly becomes a little bit more questionable, it'll be an interesting one. There's no pressure on us. Genuinely, there is no pressure on us. We're 7 unbeaten. We know at some point that run's going to come to an end. We know it's a tough team we're playing, but I think at the very minimum, we're going to compete. Is that going to be enough for a point? Who knows? Statistically, it would say at some point we're going to lose a game, of course, but we're going to compete. I really do believe that. Whatever the scoreline is, we will compete in this game. We will find ways to compete. This is a totally different test to Man United. It's a very different test to Liverpool as well. Newcastle are a lot more direct in terms of they will try and find Anthony Gordon in behind us. Sometimes that might test the back three without Joe Roden in there, in terms of that recovery pace. Might get a little bit more tested with Anthony Gordon, making those runs into space. Obviously, the midfield's very competitive in terms of what Newcastle have got, and can play a bit as well. They are not the nicest players to play against, but they can play football. There's no question about it. They are very talented footballers, and Newcastle defensively have got a lot of good defenders too. But goalkeeping wise, Pope, Ramsdale. We get some shots from distance. Anton Stack, shots from distance. Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the air, getting crosses into the box. Pope, does he come for it? Does he not come for it? Ramsdale, does he come for it? Not come for it? There's certainly their weakness, I think, is the goalkeeping situation. And that should give us a bit of encouragement, because I think one thing we have been good at last couple of weeks is getting shots off. There's no question about that. Brendan Aronson especially has improved a lot in this regard, and I think we'll score. I really do believe that. I think we are going to, at the very minimum, probably both teams will score in the game, but I think we will score. I really do believe it. I think it's a good bet with Leeds United at this moment in time, is both teams to score with the nature of how we play. We're not. I've saw a couple of people say with the Liverpool game, Liverpool fans mainly, we'll add that we were defensive, but I didn't think we were defensive at Liverpool. I didn't think it was defensive at all. I think we played the game as it needed to be played. Sometimes we dropped deep. Other times we were pressing ridiculously high, in a good way, in terms of putting Canati and Van Dijk under pressure. I thought, that was a game where very easily both teams could have scored in that one. It wasn't a classic 0-0 to me at all. I just don't see us going to Newcastle and sitting off. I think we're going to really play on the front foot, and it's going to encourage both teams to have big chances. And you just never know in those kind of situations. I think it'll be very different to the game at Ellen Road. Because that was I think both teams had a lot of injuries that game. I think Newcastle especially. I think even Jacob Ramsey played in the front three. I think in that game they were quite stretched at that point. Obviously Isaac refusing to play in that game, but we didn't have a strong team out that night either. So there's certainly ways. I'm certainly not lying awake to tomorrow night panicking about this game. We can easily lose it, don't get me wrong, but I'm actually genuinely looking forward to watching Leeds at this moment in time, even against this big six, in terms of what can happen in these games, if they are clinical. So bring it on by all means.
The Leeds lineup against them last time out was Bogle, Rodon, Stroke, and Gudmundsson in the back four. Stack, Gruev, and Longstaff in midfield. Dan James, Willie Nonto, and Lucas Meche up top. They had Asulu and Murphy playing up front. Then they had Tonali, Ramsey, and Gomaris behind them. And Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, and Liver Morento and Pope and goal. So it will be two very different looking sides, at least different looking shapes going into that game. Gerry, it's not a straightforward game. This run is going to come to an end. I know I keep saying it, but I think we're all kind of looking at when is the one step too far for Leeds? Is it this one? Is it up in Newcastle where our fan base will be stuck up in the gods practically in the flight path? But
clouds.
Look, it's another opportunity. I mean, again, the performance is what we're looking for in these games, just to look and go and compete. Oscar said it. I think it as well. What do you want to see from Leeds in this game, or what's your expectations coming out of it?
I think Newcastle have been a bit brittle this year. If you watched them against Sunderland a couple of weeks ago, they were dreadful. My next door neighbour's a Newcastle fan, and he's not happy with it in a lot of ways. I mean, Anthony Gordon is dangerous, very busy, because usually you have to give him a fiver before the game to look after me car, because he's got that look about him, hasn't he? I'm sure it was him. Him and there's another player who looks like that. Yeah, the man that Foden. But anyway, that's an aside. I'm sure it was him.
Are we saying it's a good job the footballers? They had footballing talent.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I think if we're going into this game 8 points clear of West Ham, whatever from the result tomorrow night. I'm sorry, I've lost my thread now.
I need to throw Cole Palmer into this equation as well, by the way. Need to throw Cole Palmer.
They've got a great system, though. It's a free hit, so to speak, because if we come away from this and we're still 8 points clear of West Ham, it's okay. It's a possible one we lose. I just see 1-1 draw written all over this, and that would be fantastic. Newcastle fans. They've been a bit hit and miss in Europe. The league form has been a bit iffy. They've had a couple of decent results, but as you said, the goalkeepers. Nick Pope's a decent keeper. We were linked with him, but he was dropped. Ramsdale can be a bit hit and miss as well. But when they get playing, Joe Linton, he's a unit. Girmesh, these players. Whistler, he's started well after being out with injury for a long time. So, but. If you're an opposition, people looking at Leeds, these are the form team. Yeah, watch out Calvert-Lewin. A bit nervous. This is not an easy game. So draw written all over it. I'll take that. Take it now. Take it hand. And then, anybody going, take your oxygen tank. It is 12 flights up to the top, and you can see. I think you can see the Great Wall of China from up there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's not high up. It's not the greatest team. It's like watching the old Championship manager just dots run around the ground. Yeah. If Schär's playing, I just love when Schär plays because he's a bit old now. But if he could turn back time, that's my favorite joke in Newcastle. I know it's been used before, but it's too good to miss, isn't it? Really is. So yeah, Eddie Howe was under a bit of pressure earlier in the season, and I mean, for a club that's owned by a country, they're pretty average at the moment. Yeah, and I think the Isak thing did affect them at the end of the season. I think that was a bit disruptive, but they've got good players. We know on the day they could be as well. We've said that going into every game since November, so we're well capable. Ampadu back in. I expect Ampadu that'd be the only change for Gruev. I think it'll be the same. I don't obviously if Roden was fit, but he won't. And I think that'll be the change. And I suppose the keeper Perry, he did a little drag back the other day as well. Did you notice that? He did,
yeah. Dropped the shoulder. Yeah.
I scream at him when he just takes too long at the back. I hate that passing out from the back.
He's Brazilian, Jerry. What do you expect?
I know. And I mean, it's amazing. Not only has he been more confident as a goalkeeper, his hair is magnificent now.
Oh, it's wonderful.
That has really filled out, hasn't it?
It gives me confidence, in terms of if his hairline can improve, if his goalkeeper can improve like his hairline. I mean,
Joe Hart's the same.
We're gonna have Alisson in goal for us, by the end of the season. That's what we're looking at.
I'm obviously very interested in this concept as I'm watching it and seeing what's happening, how they do it. So we'll see how that goes. So I can't offer a tactical analysis, but I've given you a few pointers there towards who's looking after your car.
Just all the way through my head as I can imagine Phil Foden walking past me with a row of trolleys heading towards Tesco. That's all I could think of.
It's that picture of that cat, isn't it? That cat is Phil Foden. Yeah, it is.
I'd just say,
magnificent players, I have to say. Fantastic players.
Away at Newcastle in terms of what it's like, in terms of what you can see. I compare it to if you go to watch the darts live. Imagine watching the darts live, but you've not got the TVs either side of the screen. You're just trying to watch the dartboard itself. That's what it's like at Newcastle away. You just can't see what's happening. The actual, I mean, I remember when I was there for Chris Wood scoring in the last minute in 2017. It took me like about 5 seconds to realise what had happened. It was like that might have been something to do with having like 10 pints of Guinness before the game. But
it was Good Friday.
It takes time for light to travel distance. So he probably scored 2 minutes before you actually saw it happen. So
that's the thing.
It does. It's a great location for a stadium, though. It's on the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. That you just fall out of a pub and into the ground. They're the perfect situation. So we'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, proper ground, proper fans this week, Gerry. So at least you have that. So
I'll have something to moan about. Don't worry.
I'm sure.
Anton Deck. You can moan about
Anton Deck. Oh, I think there's a song about Anton Deck. I can't remember it now, but I think there is. Yeah, I can't remember it.
Have it for the end of the week, and we'll cover that one on the review of it, folks. We will have a review out at the back end of the week to talk about that, and also look ahead to the Derby County game. Not sure about the watch-alongs at the weekend for the Derby game because the FA Cup can be a notoriously tricky one to get access to feeds on. But I'll let you know as soon as I find out more detail. Outside of that, you can check Oscar out on All Leeds TV. Also, his X handle is there as well at Oscar Marriot 2 Rs, and you can check Gerry McNamee over at X on Gerry Mac 123. And outside that, we will wrap it up there. Back in the morning for some Leeds news. Hopefully, we start to get some transfer news in the next couple of days and see where we are. But as we all said, all in a very good spot right now. Fingers crossed we can continue that into the next week or two. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your evenings or day whenever you're watching this or listening to it. I'll talk to you soon. Mind yourselves. Bye.